What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you some odds and ends for next year, things like DLC and updates that I am looking forward to in 2025, because while I tend to focus on new releases and things, and even prior releases really, reality is there is a lot more to gaming than that, and so I wanted to cover a little bit of that today before New Year's officially kicks off tomorrow. So, moving directly into it, coming in pretty strong with Baldur's Gate 3. Specifically, its Patch 8 update that is slated for early in 2025, though no specific word on when, and the reason I am so excited for this particular update is actually all the new subclasses it is going to bring. Now, as my regular viewers certainly know, I covered BG3 an enormous amount when it launched. Followed all of its updates. When Honor Mode dropped, I did that, unlocked the golden dice skin, the whole 9 yards. Truth be told, I burned myself out a little bit on it, playing it so much and covering it so much that I took a bit of a break. And so, Patch 8 seems like a logical place to jump back in, while at the same time getting to experience new content in the form of those subclasses and stuff. And then that's not even covering everything else that goes into that update. So, simply put, very much so looking forward to that one. Not entirely certain I'll do an entirely brand new playthrough, because at this point I simply have so many it's very easy to jump into at any point in the game. But one way or another, I'm going to play it for a little bit, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. Now, speaking of other great CRPGs, though, we then have Rogue Trader's second DLC in the form of Lex Imperialis. So, Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader had officially slated for 2 DLCs. No idea if it's going to get more, of course. I imagine that will largely come down to sales at the end of the day. But we got Void Shadows this year, and I believe Lex Imperialis was actually supposed to also be out this year, but it didn't quite happen, and thus it got pushed a bit. But part of the reason I'm so excited for this one is simply how well Void Shadows did. Void Shadows was a bit of a surprise to me because of the 2 DLC. It sounded honestly not all that interesting, taking place on your Void ship and fleshing out a lot of those systems, which, wasn't exactly the highlight of the base game anyway. But to Owlcat's credit, they really knocked that DLC out of the park. I really enjoyed it. And honestly, I think it'll be a tough act to follow, but we'll certainly see with Lex Imperialis, which is supposed to focus on the Imperial Tithe, that is to say, the tithe that all of your planets as a rogue trader are supposed to be paying back to the Imperium, and there will be another new companion, and at the moment I would say that's the bulk of what we know, but I think that will explore some interesting lore topics, and honestly, if they can even hit like half of the mark that Void Shadows did, I think they'll be in a very good place. But either way, looking forward to finding out. That, though, does bring us to our third entry, and this is the upcoming DLC for Grim Dawn that has been in the works for some time. Now, if you follow the channel religiously, you may just remember that I was initially planning to review Grim Dawn in 2024, but it sort of passed me by, and the reason for that is very specific. Right now, the development team behind Grim Dawn is actually working on an expansion, the Fangs of Asterkarn, and that DLC is effectively what I'm waiting for in order to actually jump into Grim Dawn and fully go through and review it. Now, the primary reason for that is simply that I don't want to go through all that effort of making a review for a game people have been asking me for forever, only to then turn around and see an expansion drop for it that review doesn't actually go over. But as a sort of small side reason, this DLC expansion is also supposed to be dropping a new class, the Berserker, which is going to let you shapeshift. And if you know me at all, shapeshifting in these types of games is absolutely my jam. And all of that, combined with the fact that people have talked it up this entire time, which is why I'm taking a look at it to begin with, and I'm very much so expecting to have a great time with it. So hopefully that will be sooner rather than later, though hopefully definitely past February, as that is already packed. That does bring us to our fourth entry, though, and this is Skyblivion, which is currently slated for 2025 as well, but this is, of course, the giant mod for Oblivion and Skyrim, basically porting Oblivion into Skyrim's engine, to put it simply, and it's been in the works for a long time, and if you, again, know me at all, you know that I love Oblivion. That game has a special place in my heart, and while simply put, I do not review mods, I absolutely plan on jumping in and taking a look at this and seeing just how much justice they managed to do Oblivion in particular, because as much as I love that game, some of its gameplay certainly leaves a lot to be desired. But nonetheless, I'm excited to see what they do there. All of the things that they've shown thus far have looked great, and I'm looking forward to experiencing some of that for myself, while at the same time hopefully being able to show off some of the passion of those people who worked on it. But that does bring us to our final note, and this is actually Doom: The Dark Ages. So this probably isn't a huge surprise to most people, as it's a very, I would say, anticipated title. But somewhat recently, like the past year or so, I've been getting into boomer shooters just as a way to break up the RPGs and stuff, because sometimes it's fun to just kill things as a sort of palate cleanser. And boomer shooters really are fantastic for that. And there really is no more iconic boomer shooter than Doom itself. And while truth be told, I don't have a ton of interest in going back and covering all of the previous ones, a game that takes my current interest in playing those games to kind of chill, while also taking a more fantasy-esque approach to it with the Dark Ages part of it, and what they've shown off in the trailer in terms of aesthetic, plus the incredibly high praise the last few Doom games have received as well. And you've got a game that's definitely a bit outside of my normal wheelhouse that I am nonetheless extremely excited for. I have no idea what a review or anything like that would consist of for that particular game. I know the high end of it is like really competitive in terms of just Doom in general, so we'll have to see there. It might just be a regular old review at the end of the day, but nonetheless, actually excited for that one. Looks very cool, and I think it's poised to hit at exactly the right moment for me in particular, so that's why it's on this list, even if it's not the kind of thing that I might normally hype up. But that, I think, is pretty much going to do it, just covering some, again, odds and ends that I wanted to talk about ahead of 2025, or as we move into 2025, I should say, but for now, that's going to do it. In the meantime, though, I'd certainly love to hear about anything like that you yourself are looking forward to, and simply because today is New Year's Eve, I'm going to go ahead and wish you a very happy New Year as well. I certainly hope you'll subscribe and stick around and share in some 2025 with me. And naturally, that means to like, comment, and subscribe, but regardless of any of that, truly, just thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.